What is up, everybody? Welcome to 3 Men in a Basement, the Monday night special. This is going to be a really great show for you tonight. We've got three men. We've got myself, TiVo Manimal, but we've also got somebody joining us, Kevin VanHook, the co-creator of Bloodshot. We've got questions. We're going to go over the trailer with him, and it's all coming right after this intro.
Banded together from remote galaxies are 13 of the most sinister villains of all time, the Legion of Doom. Dedicated to a single objective, the conquest of the universe. Only one group dares to challenge this intergalactic threat.
All right, so here we are. We're ready to go. We've got TiVo Manimal, myself. Kevin's here to joining us. Thank you very much for joining us in the grotto. It's a real pleasure to have you here today to talk about this great book that I loved as a kid, as a teenager. I know Manimal's got some stuff. So let's get started. Tim, where do you want to go from here?
So first of all, cue my music. Oh, you don't have my intro music. Damn you. Okay, so what we're going to do here, boys and girls, is Kevin has not seen the trailer at all today. So what we're going to do is hopefully throw you guys for a little bit of a curveball. We have the international trailer that was shared by Deadpool's other co-creator, Bob Layton. So we're going to take a look at the international trailer dropping right now, and then we'll get Kevin's reactions to it, and we'll ask some questions. And if you guys have any questions in the live chat, we'll throw that at you too. So go ahead, Otto, hit him up.
All right.
Audio, Otto. This is the first time I've seen this today, actually, Kevin. I've waited all day long.
Sweet.
Still don't hear anything Otto, but all right. The regenerative powers of Bloodshot.
Cool.
There's the red circle on his chest. Nice little Easter egg to the comic.
Yeah, for sure.
Those are the nanites, I believe, getting injected into him. Based on the best-selling comic book written by yours truly in the live chat right here. Otto, are we supposed to hear something? I don't even... Otto, you muted yourself. Oh, okay.
Sorry.
There you go. Now I hear it.
Welcome to your future.
I had a nightmare. Something doesn't feel right.
I've been manipulating you. What you think is real sometimes ain't.
I had a wife, and you took her from me. You turned me into a weapon, and now it's pointing at you.
That is cool.
Saw the blood eyes there. That was kind of cool. The red eye.
Yeah, it's a little alluding to.
Yeah.
Kitty. No chance. Oh, man. Shit.
All
right.
Wow.
I like the international trailer. I haven't seen the U.S. trailer, but Kevin, what are your reactions on the international trailer as opposed to the U.S. trailer, if there's any difference?
Sorry.
I'm sorry, Kevin.
Sorry about that. I got a little excited, but I wanted to watch it again. No.
You have to watch on your own time, Otto. Sorry.
Yeah.
There's some shots in the international trailer that aren't in the domestic trailer, which that's kind of cool. The close-up of the ear healing and the whole bit at the end where he, where Bloodshot sort of wipes away the smiley face and the ashes on the outside of the car. That's not in the domestic, I don't believe. Great looking stuff. So the international trailer, I think, also does a better job of getting across the ideas without maybe giving away too much of the plot or too much of the twists. The domestic one does tell an awful lot. Doesn't give everything away by any means, but it does give people a pretty good idea where it's coming from.
I would agree. I watched the domestic, and this is the first time seeing the international. And you're right. The domestic kind of was like, okay, you're kind of giving a little bit too much. And I thought this international was the perfect one.
Yeah.
So how does it feel? Let's rewind back to when you first created this character And in Rise Zero or Eternal Warriors #1? Let's just get right to it. What is the true first appearance of Bloodshot?
Well, what I always say is that Rise Zero is the first appearance of Bloodshot, and Eternal Warrior 4 is the first appearance of him in costume. So that's the distinction that I make. So Rise Zero was planned to actually release the week before Eternal Warrior 4, and it would have been very logical. But because of the difficulty in printing on that largely white cover with a big solid bit of black ink in the middle, we had scuffing, and we went back and actually had more books printed. And we had quite a bit of damage issues on that one. And so that's why one of the reasons you'll see out there that there are like glossy covers versus covers. That's the reason, is the glossy stuff held up better to avoid scuffing.
What would you say is a higher print run?
Were the first print run? Can I say that?
What would you say is a higher print run? The glossy ones or the more matted ones?
I don't know for a fact. My gut would say it would be the matted ones.
Ah, there you go, collectors. There you go.
Right.
Which one is so now we knew Rise Zero was originally planned to be coming out first, but there were some issues with the printing, so it was delayed. So really, Rise Zero should be the true first appearance.
It should be
chronologically.
Now, correct. Now, and realize I wrote the other one, so I count that one.
You go.
Fair to me.
Yeah. So for people who don't know,
Cowan cover, by the way, that you just flashed up there.
What's that?
Yeah.
With that beautiful Dennis Cowan cover that you flashed.
Up.
On the Eternal Warriors. Yeah.
I remember seeing that cover coming. Oh, well, both covers are fantastic, but I remember seeing this come in and just being blown away by it.
So let's talk about your history before we get back into Bloodshot. And tell the folks who don't know who you are. When did you get into comics? And because a lot of people don't know this about you, that you are an artist as well as a writer. So you did a little bit of both, a little John Byrne, Walt Simonson thing going on, right?
Yeah, I started off actually drawing comics, and so I drew. I had a habit of starting working for companies that would go bankrupt.
Who would those be?
Yeah, so I started off working for Pacific Comics when I was 17 years old, but by the time the stuff was ready to come out, they were out of business. And then I did a little bit of stuff for Eclipse Comics, and while they didn't go out of business, they reduced their publishing output. It really wasn't until 85 end of 85 that my Jack Frost series came out from Amazing Comics, and I kind of had some books out there that people were able to see and check out. And then I helped found Innovation Comics in 89, and then was the original art director and production manager for Caliber Press. And we did
Caliber, totally remember Caliber. First Todd McFarlane work in Caliber, right?
Say it one more time.
First Todd McFarlane work was in a Caliber comic. I'm trying to.
Todd's was, but I know that we had a lot of early guys. So David Mack, we did stuff, and we did just a lot of really great people.
Would you say that your work on Valiant is what really kind of put you on the map right in the middle in the 90s explosion of comics?
Absolutely. So what happened was I would work in comics industry would have a downturn or things would happen, and I would work doing other things. So I developed a knowledge and experience in printing and graphic arts, graphic design. And so, and having been a production manager, I actually helped start several printers printing comic books because I understood the process and would help like local printers ramp up to where they could actually print books. And so in 1992, I was working for a typesetting company that was trying desperately to stay alive and was transforming into a color separation house and failing. And they were rapidly shrinking. I mean, one of the oldest businesses in Indianapolis, and the writing was on the wall. And I sent out samples to Marvel and DC and Valiant. And I followed up with Valiant and got Jim Shooter on the phone when I called in to check in with him. And just miraculously, he picked up. And without dragging it out into a really long story, essentially they ended up asking me to come out and join them as production manager. And I did. And because I could also write and draw, I was starting to do things on the side. And when Shooter left, I ended up inheriting the 3 books that I was working on with him, which was Solar Man of the Atom, The Eternal Warrior, and then ultimately I did Bloodshot. So the 2 books I was working with him.
Yeah.
So Kevin, it seems like you were a jack of all trades at this point. You were writing, you were doing this.
I always am, and I always hate the last part of that phrase that usually is associated with it. But yes.
Right. No,
They-
no.
No. So
No,
for those joining us who are probably new to comic book collecting, in the 90s, you had Marvel and DC predominantly in the 80s. In the 90s, the kind of indie publisher took a whole new dynamic to it when Image came into the scene. And I can speak, at least from a collector's perspective, Image was known for the art, right? Not necessarily the stories, because Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld, all these guys were known for their art, not so much their storytelling. Where Jim Shooter took over the old Valiant comics. He bought, I don't know who bought it actually, but bought because you remember like Turok and all these were like golden age characters that they kind of rebooted into the 90s. But they got some stellar writers for it. If you think about, Kevin and Jim Shooter, I believe, was the editor in chief, right? He had jump ship from Marvel back in the 80s.
Right. In 1989, Jim Shooter and Steve Mazursky put the money together with a venture capital firm to form Voyager Communications and start publishing Valiant comics. And part of the deal they did for the first year, they were kind of meandering. They did Nintendo comics and wrestling comics and stuff like that. But they did a lot of smart things. They sold advertising in their books. They did custom comics for like toys and on packs and things like that, and KFC and all these things. And in spring of '92, I joined the company. They were just starting to plan and release Unity, which was a company-wide crossover amongst our books. And we were launching new books within that. And we were starting to be known for creating collectible copies or versions of the comics that we were really creating as thank yous to retailers. So we did gold logo books and things like that to say, you bought so many books, we'll give you so many gold logo titles. And that kind of led to us experimenting with different kind of printing processes. And because of my printing background, I got heavily involved in Chromium, which is what the first Bloodshot issue is, that shiny.
Right.
Oh, we all
right.
remember the Chromium covers in the 90s. Yeah.
Right there.
Chromium book, the one he's touching now, is the very first Chromium cover. Barry Windsor Smith drew it.
Yeah.
And Barry was a regular in the office. And for a brief time, he and I actually shared a little office together. So he was over there drawing while I was writing Eternal Warrior.
Kevin, I do have to ask you, did Joe Quesada do this? Am I reading that right?
Joe did that cover.
Yeah, he did that cover, right? Yeah, I saw his signature when I was looking at it.
Yep. And I wrote and drew the interiors with Dick Giordano inks.
Right. Can I ask you something about this? So I bought these off the rack when I was a teen. And, when you were coming on, I went and dug them out, and I've always loved it. But I was noticing that when this issue ends, it ends with a great splash page, right? So there's a great splash page of him coming out. It says, welcome to, welcome to England or something like that. And then this one starts off with it again. Now, there's a few changes in it. There's a character or two missing. There's some different things going on. Was that planned, or was that because there was a new colorist, I think, came in there? Was that it?
It was mostly two things. One, so that I wasn't just literally duplicating what Don had drawn.
Yep.
Because it's very much an homage to what Don had done. So I
got you. Okay.
Was viewing it as one artist's interpretation of another.
Gotcha.
But also the idea that maybe this is a split second before or after. So this
interesting. Yeah, because this
yeah,
when this one ends, this one starts, and it's great, and it's a great comic book thing. As a comic book fan, I ogled over it when I opened it up because I completely forgot about it. I'm like, this is really amazing. This is great stuff. So
it was
really
neat. I had some of my artwork in the office, and Barry Windsor Smith didn't really know that I was an artist, so he knew me as a writer and a production manager. And he was looking over my shoulder, and he literally said, Kevin, why aren't you drawing one of these bloody things? And I was like, well, it's just, I don't want people to think that's the only reason I came on and took the job. And it's like, And so he started talking to Bob, and Bob agreed that I deserved the shot of doing it. And so when
you say Bob, you mean Bob Layton, correct?
Bob Layton, yeah. Bob Layton was at this point our editor-in-chief, and I was the executive editor. So I was.
How awesome is that to have one of the great artists of our time, Barry Windsor Smith, says, you should be drawing this?
Oh, it was wonderful. No, I think the world of Barry, and I had a wonderful relationship with him in New York and at Valiant. Excuse me.
And so let's flash forward to Valiant getting a lot of their options picked up by Sony. And then when did you come on board with the Bloodshot movie? And when did you think that this was a real possibility that this is going to be happening and coming onto the big screen?
Well, Dinesh Shamdasani had, who was the former editor-in-chief of the Reincarnation of Valiant.
Who has one of the most incredible comic book collections I've ever seen.
He truly does.
Oh my God. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
He reached out to me as soon as the option was there and said, I just want you to know this is real. I mean, Sony's really wants to do this. And that was fantastic. And that's like 5 or 6 years ago. And through the years, he's kind of kept me posted on where things were. You know, did I want to check out the script and all that kind of stuff. And excuse me, I was lucky enough to fly over to Cape Town with Bob Layton last year and actually go on set and you know.
Otto, you have that picture that you
I
can
do.
show?
Absolutely.
So this is an incredible picture of Bob Layton, Kevin VanHook, Vin Diesel, and Dinesh, the former CEO of Valiant, before he sold it off and rode off into the sunset, buying Amazing Fantasy 15 7.0s all over the place.
And I have a question, Kevin. When you created Bloodshot, and then let's say when Fast and the Furious came out, the first time people really knew who Vin Diesel was, did you ever look at him and think, man, this guy could be Bloodshot?
I did actually, but
Yeah.
But prior to that, though, during Triple X,
Okay.
Yeah, it's Andrew. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, like, what was the web series of Ninjak that had who was playing Bloodshot? Was it one of the Power Rangers?
David Frank, one of the Power Rangers.
Yeah.
That's a shame. You know, I thought that project could really, you know, if
We
it
talked
had the
about that for a
proper-
while, Tim.
Yeah, if it had the proper budget, I think it really could have done well. But unfortunately, I think the timing of it wasn't there, right? I mean, it was relegated to like a web series. But now you think of web series, what do you think about? Amazon and Netflix and all these other avenues that they could have used it on. But I know there's people who have questions, very specific questions. And I would just tell you guys that, you know, he's bound to secrecy through the studio. So he can't really leak too much stuff. So we'll ask him whatever that's in the trailer and about the comic books that he created. He can't tell you. I mean, people are asking how many movies Vin is signed on to, you know, how many sequels there's going to be. I would say, hey, if Bloodshot comes out and you guys all go out and support it, there'll probably be more than one. That's what I say.
I think it's a reasonable answer.
Yeah. Do you have any questions, Manimal, about Bloodshot?
Yeah, you know, kind of a couple. So
Or the Visitor?
I feel like with Valiant, you've always had I like that there's this Bloodshot movie because I feel like it's always been who's the title character for Valiant. It's somewhat always between Exo Man-O-War and Bloodshot. And
I was going to say Ninjak too, though.
and Ninjak as well. But
Created by
I think with this 2012 Valiant Entertainment, it seemed like they were pushing Exo Man-O-War a little bit harder than maybe the other titles. I've been reading all the 2012 since the new upcoming Valiant Entertainment stuff, and I'm happy to see that Bloodshot's the character they're kind of like pushing forth first.
Do you think that Exo Man-O-War was getting pushed at that time because of Iron Man's
100%.
kind of popularity in the movies? Because Exo Man-O-War was a lot like Iron Man.
Right,
You know,
and I think that's why he's not getting a movie either.
It could be. I hadn't really connected that. I mean, I think there's always a lot of appeal to Exo. So, excuse me. If you were to look at our books in terms of popularity at the time, Exo was always one of our better sellers. Bloodshot was always one of our better sellers. We had books that we loved that just didn't never really break through the numbers as much, like Shadow Man, which we always just thought was such a great title.
I love Shadow Man.
But it didn't have the huge numbers behind it.
And Woody and what's the Woody?
Quantum and Woody.
Yeah, Quantum and Woody is a good fun read too.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of great stuff and stuff I was proud to be associated with. But Exo, which the original joke was Conan in a can.
Yeah, because he's like a barbarian kind of.
Well, the most, I think I just read the most current iteration where he's literally like in 500 years in the past or some kind of weird Dungeons and Dragons type world that he's in right now in Exo Man-O-War, because I don't know if you could speak to it. Are all the licensing different for, because if you think about Turok is a gold key character, when they bought, is everything under the same roof now as far as licensing, or is it all a little bit different like Bloodshot with Sony and so on and so forth?
The gold key characters were Magnus, Turok, and Solar Man of the Atom.
Yeah.
And those three books are controlled by separate entities. So I think, I'm not positive about it, I believe Nick Rucci and Dynamite control those three properties today. So that's why we can't really reprint a lot of the like Unity stuff, which was a run where all these characters interacted.
It was the big crossover event. I still remember the Unity
course.
variant covers. There was the black cover. There's different colors on it. And I think Valiant, to this very day, does a great job with marketing for what they have. Like, they tell you, hey, we got a first appearance coming. Hey, somebody is dying. You should buy. Literally, if you follow the Twitter, Valiant says you should buy this book because it's probably going to double in price. I mean, it's almost the fourth wall breaking marketing, the way they do it. And I think, as the not part of the big two, or if you call Image part of like maybe 2A as opposed to the big three, I mean, Valiant is in there to market share with IDW. Dark Horse and all these other, and I think Valiant is very, very aggressive in their marketing, and I think they have social media down. Like, they have the younger people who really know how to kind of push it out via social media.
Yeah, back in the day, we had John Hartz, who was our head of marketing, who was just really a brilliant marketing guy, and so he was behind doing things like sweepstakes giveaways and
I was
Harbinger Zero, the mail away copy.
Well, I just want to say, when I was going through these, I found the coupon for one of the giveaways in one of the books. I thought that was really cool, and I kept it in there.
Mail it away right now, Otto. See what happens.
Yeah, right. I don't want to ruin my books.
I actually have the pink variant of Harbinger Zero.
Oh,
so all the regular covers are blue. I have it in a 9.6. I graded it.
Nice.
I should have brought it out, but I remember when I was saying, hey, I need to get this Harbinger, and I was like, man, this Harbinger pink book is hard to find. Because for those who don't know, there was a run of books that there was coupons that you had to clip away and mail in, and everybody got a blue copy of Harbinger Zero, but they sprinkled in, I don't know what the number is, but like, let's say they printed 10,000 of them. Every 1 in 100 or every 1 in 500, they gave out a pink variant. So it's hard to say what the actual print count is. But for those who are collecting those type of things, those are the type of things that Kevin is talking about, and also, like he said, chromium covers. Did you say you were actually helped create chromium covers? Is that what you heard?
Yeah.
Did I hear that right?
Yeah, because of my printing background, I actually went to San Diego where the printer was, and stayed there for a couple of weeks, press checking and making sure that chromium was done right, because it was the first time we're trying something like this. It's an almost 1 million copy selling book, so we really make sure we had it right, and we didn't want it to delaminate. Have the plastic come away and have a flappy piece of plastic against foil. And
Kevin, how long did that process
some
take?
of those issues, some of those comics now with the printing errors are worth more than the ones that are, I guess, perfectly printed. Like, if you think about the Venom that came out like all black, it wasn't supposed to be all black, I believe, from the 90s on Recalled Comics. So it's weird how you said, I wanted to make sure they were all perfect, but then the ones that aren't perfect now, 20, 30 years past, are worth some. I guess it's just the nature of the beast of collecting. Yeah.
And what was your question, Otto, as far as how long did it take?
No, I was going to say, like, from beginning to end, how long did the process take for you to get the chromium cover where it was? Was it a month, 6 weeks, two weeks?
Really, it was over the course of about 10 days to 2 weeks.
Really? Wow.
But it was going.
Unbelievable.
If you look at it, it's a very unique process. It's actually, to the eye, it kind of looks like it's raised or embossed, but it's not. It's actually reversed. It's pushing into the plastic.
Yep.
And then you've got Bloodshot. What is it? Was it
6 and 7? I pulled out. Yeah.
So first appearance of Ninjak. Again, we had a habit of doing not in costume and then in costume.
Yep.
That was those, and that was again one of those things that John Hartz and Bob were particularly good about talking with us and saying, it's like, well, you want to release this character, you want to show him off anyway. Why don't we make him appear in one of our better selling books? And so then I had the creative freedom to figure out how I was going to do that. And he had the name Ninjak, made me think of hijacking, and so I went with an issue, a storyline where I was in a plane.
Yeah, right. Oh,
seeing Bloodshot being tossed out of a jet. So.
Right, it's brilliant. He's got the knife in his chest. He's got the crutch, and all of a sudden Ninjak appears, which is really, really fun. Just great stuff. Brings me back to my childhood.
So outside of, and we'll tie this up so we don't take too much of your time, since we got you for 30 minutes here, and we'll see, Otto, why don't you go through the live chat, see if there's any questions for you. But I want to talk about, since we already talked about where you were in the past and where you are in the present with Bloodshot, where are you in the future, and what projects are you working on that maybe people aren't know that you're a part of?
Well, I'm also a filmmaker, so I've been lucky that I've written, directed, edited, and produced about a half dozen features. And so right now I'm in development on a pilot, and so I'm dealing with a pilot script that hopefully will be shopping here soon, and I've got good feelings about it, and there's some interest from some of the major players. We'll see.
Can you tell us what it's about? Vaguely.
It's called Savant, and it deals with who draws the real world, but he also draws things that haven't happened yet that we see overlaid in the drawings.
Is this drawing like in a comic book? Sounds like do you remember the NBC show Heroes? Remember that one guy? Yeah, was that Heroes where one of them had this kind of weird thing where he would get weird visions? But so is this now? I prior to going live, you said this was a project that quite possibly could become a comic book as well. Is this the same project?
Yeah, there's actually two. There's another one called The Fifth Horseman that is as a comic.
I like that.
The Fifth Horseman. So is it? We're assuming it's something biblical along those lines of the four horsemen of the apocalypse.
Yeah, the concept being that we're all familiar to some degree or another with the four horsemen of the apocalypse, which was war, famine, pestilence, and death. And the idea is that this is introducing life, who is the counterpoint to death.
And how far along is the comic?
Script stage almost completed. Artwork just started. Designs just started.
Can you talk about? Are you the artist and writer as well, or are you just
actually working with a young artist named Alex Sarabia out of Mexico City? So.
There you go. So when you guys do print, we'd love to have a Lords of Longbox exclusive variant. You know, and I'm just
absolutely. Yeah, no, we're excited about it. It's something that I've carried around for a long, long time, and recently decided I want to do this. So.
I tell you what, we love comics. So whenever the comics do come out, or even your television show, we'd love to come you back on to talk about it, because that Fifth Horseman stuff. I really like those kind of biblical, dark, kind of supernatural type stories. So. Hey, I just want to say, Kevin, thank you for coming on. Congratulations for Bloodshot. Seeing I guess, your baby come to fruition. It's like being, I guess, gestating or being in labor for what, 20, 30 years, and it finally pops out. Probably a horrible analogy, but.
Yeah, no, it's literally over half my lifetime, so it's pretty cool.
That is amazing. You know, everybody go out and support the Bloodshot film. You know, we need to support smaller movies like this, not just supporting, the big giant Marvel films and the DC films. And Kevin, thank you for coming on. Manimal, any last words?
No, man, really appreciate it. Thanks for all your great work, Kevin. I mean, you've created a character that is to this day still one of the best characters to read out there.
Awesome.
For sure.
Thank you so much.
And Kevin didn't tell me this, but a internet scooper Humberto Ramos of The Wrap hinted that you will see Vin Diesel in all white nanite form. Kevin didn't tell me this. It's on Twitter. So I'm just saying, I've seen some complaints that people are saying, hey, how come he's not all white? Well, just be patient.
Yeah, you can't give it all out, right?
Exactly.
There's something there.
You got to leave the money shots for the people to go into the films. Maybe a second or third trailer down the road, maybe we'll see him in white out nanite. Is that what you would call it, nanite form?
Yeah, closer to the original version of the character. The idea is the nanites have replaced his blood, so they're not warm. So he's not warm-blooded.
So that's why he's all white.
So he's all white. There you cold-blooded.
Okay, cold-blooded killer. All right.
That's it.
Well, ironically, one of the names tossed around before it was Bloodshot was Cold Blood.
Cold Blood.
Oh, okay.
Oh, fun fact of the day. Look at that.
Rob Liefeld would have sued you, though, because you used blood in the characters. He probably would have had a fire blood, young blood, wolf blood, or something.
Well, realize Rob is the one that faxed me and said, hey, Kev, young blood, Bloodshot, this blood's for you. What do you think about doing a crossover?
Oh, nice.
Really?
Why we did Deathmate.
That's right. I was just going to say, Valiant is the Image Valiant giant crossover event.
Absolutely.
Valiant did a crossover with Exo Manowar and Iron Man as well at one point. So they're not adverse to doing that.
Bob Layton, if you think about Bob Layton and his history with Iron Man, I mean, it's only natural that you kind of see the two. But I don't ever see the big crossover events of companies. I don't ever see that happening again. I mean, that's a thing of the past, I think.
I just want to ask one question, Kev, because I was going through those books today. Is that how Image was able to use the chromium covers because of you? Or
no. Sorry. We had a 6-month exclusive.
Gotcha.
People who developed that process.
Really?
Okay.
So did your Chromium come out before Marvel's or DC's?
The very first Chromium. Bloodshot 1 is the first Chromium cover.
There you go, boys and girls. Cool. For those who like linear collecting, man, the first ever chromium cover was from
Yep.
Valiant. You heard it
It's
here
from Valiant.
first.
There you go.
Man,
Wow,
I'm
that's
gonna go
interesting.
out- I'm
Because
gonna
when I
buy
was
them all
looking
out
at them,
now.
I was like, wow, these are the chromium covers too, the Deathmate and everything like that.
Let me
But that was
go
just a great spec.
update your wiki page, Kevin, to make sure that you are credited for inventing the chromium cover. You know, we got to update your wiki page.
Printed right.
All right. Well,
All right.
thank you much, Kevin. I look forward to seeing the film. Enjoy your time on the red carpet and the press junkets. I'm pretty sure it's going to be wild. Have a great time being Mr. Hollywood. And thank you
Enjoy
so much.
yourself.
Otto, I'll
Thank
let
you very
sign
much.
us off.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Take care.
No, this has been a great show. It's been really fun. Shout out to everybody who's in the live chat. Shout out to everybody who's in the rewind watching this, you guys. When you watch on the rewind, sub up, comments. This has been really fantastic. You found out what the first chromium cover was. You talked to the creator. We talked to the creator of Bloodshot. It's just been a great show. Kevin, on behalf of 3 Men in the Basement at Lords of the Longbox, thank you very much for joining us tonight. We appreciate your time.
I enjoyed it.